Hello, everybody. I hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. I'm running a little bit. Well, actually, I'm on time, but I just got here in time, so I had to take a deep breath and unpack for a second. Hey, Nefertiri, thank you for joining. I want to say thank you to everyone who's watching or those who are going to watch the replay. If you are, make sure you hit the like button and leave a comment. All right, so tonight we're going to talk about natural skincare. And if you guys hear my husband or my children in the background, you just have to ignore them because that just shows we really are running behind on time. They should have been out of the kitchen already. But thank you. That's enough. Thank you. All right. So anyway, many of you probably don't know that the way that I got started was actually making products. So when I went natural, doing your natural hair journey, I really realized that I didn't want to put chemicals on my hair. And so I started making my own products. And I started first with products for my hair, and then I did my skin. So when I think back, I haven't bought facial cleansers or toners or creams or body butters, deodorant, toothpaste, all of those things I've been making on my own for years now. And so I did do a video sharing a little bit about my natural skincare routine, but I wanted to update it because there are some changes and I wanted to give other options and a bit more context to some of the things that you might want to use. So whenever you're thinking of coming up with a skincare routine, first you want to know what type of skin you have. And what I mean by that is what skin type you have. So oily or dry or combination. And so that'll tell you a good bit of information. Also, if you have sensitive skin or if you have maybe acne or eczema or any kind of skin condition, all of that, you might want to change some of the ingredients to make it personal to your skin type. So one of the things that I did, I wrote down some notes and about eczema. Eczema is very common in our community. And so here are some statistics. In 2017, the CDC reported that eczema was the most prevalent among Black children at 17%, then whites at 11.2%, and Hispanics at 13.7%. So either way, the rates of eczema are pretty high, more than 1 in 10 children. And according to nationaleczema.org, an estimated 16.5 million adults, which is about 7.3% of the population, have what's called atopic dermatitis. So with the people who have the atopic dermatitis, nearly 40% had either moderate or severe case of dermatitis, which is classified as a disease, and it happened actually before the age of 2. I also noted that African American and Hispanic children tend to have more severe atopic dermatitis. So, thank you, Ronnie, for joining. Oh, yes, thank you. These are like the only earrings of mine that my daughter didn't break. So, yeah, I do like to have like hanging earrings or whatnot, but I just don't have a lot anymore. And that's something that happens with children. They break your things. All right, so let's talk again about the skincare. So we talked about the different types of skins. I also want to point out that also mature skin usually is another thing that if you have mature skin, you might want to have things that, creams or things that may be a little bit more moisturizing and hydrating, or maybe even healing for the skin as well. All right, so with your skincare routine, most of the time, whenever you see like skincare on the market, they usually have a 3-step kind of system. And so you cleanse, then you tone and moisturize. And that's also how I like to do my routine as well. And then, so that's every day, and I do that 2 times a day, but we'll talk a little bit more about each of those. And then I also like to do facial masks and facial steams, and that'll be like once a week or however often I want to do it. And then exfoliating will be about 1 to 2 times a week as well. So those are all the different ways in which I guess we maintain a good skin. So let's talk about cleansing first. So with cleansing, pretty much the most important thing, especially for people who have like oily skin or people that have acne, they think that they really want their skin to be really really clean, which is not a bad thing, but you don't want to strip the skin of its natural oils. It's actually, if you take off all your natural oils, then your body just produces more oil because you're supposed to have some natural oils there. And then you want to have a cleanser that's going to be more gentle. You don't want it to be stripping and make your skin feel dry. Again, that can actually lead to more problems. So when you're looking at cleansers, what I like to do is if you have an oily skin tone or like acne prone skin, there's like gel cleansers. So I like to make cleansers that are a little bit lighter. These are ones that usually tend to be like clear and like a gel form. And then if you have dry skin or more mature skin, you can also have ones that are a little bit more like the white cleansers that are a little bit more creamy to the skin. And I have here, actually in my first book, I have recipes. It's called Recipes from the Earth. And so I have recipes for the hair, as it says, for the face, body, and hair. And so I actually have cleansers in here. And so I wanted to mention those. I have 2 different recipes in here. Let me find them. I should have already had it. All right, so we have a cleanser here. So I have one that's called a milk and honey cleanser, if you can see it. And this one's actually with coconut milk. And I like coconut milk because it just feels so nice on the skin or on the hair. It's just really hydrating, really moisturizing. And if you ever heard of milk baths, that's what people would do to have a really soft, supple skin. And so I really like using the coconut cream for that purpose. But you can also do facial mask with milk powder in it or goat milk as well if you really want to treat yourself and have something that's a little bit more on the higher end. But coconut milk, and you can also get coconut milk powder, is really good if you have dry skin. Hey, Nefertari, one of the biggest issues with the skin is that the conventional skincare is damaging. Yeah, that's making it hard to be identify one skin type. Yeah, so when you're trying to find out, like if you don't know what type of skin you have, then what you can do is actually just wash your face with just plain water and wait like 30 minutes. And they say if you take a paper towel and you put it and it like sticks to the skin, then you would have a more oily skin type. And then also you can have combination. So like for my skin, I'll be usually a little bit more oily on my forehead. And so you may have combination as well. So it's not just always one. So you really just want to pay attention to what your face is doing without adding anything to it. So you don't want to do it after you've applied everything, but you want to do that with just a bare face and identify it. And as you said, Nefertiri, that's one of the reasons why I really want to make my own, is because you don't want to be trying to fix skin problems and then be creating them as well. So I always had like hormonal acne or acne prone skin that had to do with hormones. And so if you're using chemicals like parabens that mimic estrogen, it can really unbalance your hormones. And so basically it's basically going to make it worse. And you don't want to put like a Band-Aid on it. You want to actually, fix what's going on. And so that's why I really wanted something that's natural. And with all these products saying they're natural nowadays, we know that they're not. Natural to me is using, natural ingredients that you can pronounce, that you can actually, actually think of in your head. And it'll be an apple, an orange, or a cucumber, coconut milk, or coconuts, different things like that, or natural oils from apricots or grapeseed and all of that. And I did mean to actually bring some more things with me today, but I was just rushing. Thank you. Yeah. But yeah, so that's a really good point. So yeah, so back to because I always get sidetracked. It's back to the point I was making. So the milk and honey, and I also like to use honey too because this is what's called a humectant, and so it can actually bring moisture into the skin from the air. And so I like to use that, either honey or glycerin you can use in your natural skincare products if you do need extra moisture. Glycerin is used a lot of times in hair products for that reason, but then you have to be careful about the moisture levels because it can make your hair frizzy if you do too much. So all these things are, pretty much trial and error, but there's all tons of recipes that you can do to have natural ingredients. The other one that I have, let's see, I have a green tea facial cleanser. And that one is the one that I say for those who have oily skin or for those who have acne prone skin. And I like green tea. And this is not for you to just get certain ingredients and to put them together, but it's just letting you know what are the reasoning behind them or what kind of products might be helpful. So if you do decide to try to make products, then you kind of have a guide to what might work for you. So I like green tea because it's astringent. It's also anti-inflammatory and it's also antioxidant. So it's really wonderful for the skin. And actually, green tea I've used for so many different things, not only for the skin, but also for the hair, which is an extension of our skin, but also even in mouthwash because it is, again, astringent, anti-inflammatory. And so many people do have like green tea, and you never would have thought that you can use them in different purposes. All right. And I do want to take a second and take some time since. Let's see. All right. So that was about cleansing. So now we're going to talk about toning. And so the purpose of toning is, as it says, to even out the skin tone. And also toners do tend to be kind of astringent. So they do help to close the pores as well and just give you more of a seamless look and finish. So I've always used, since I was a teen, I've used the 3-step kind of system. And so with toners, there's just so many different things that you can use. And you can even do simple 1-ingredient toners. So I really like hydrosols. I have videos showing, so I'll have to link that on my hydrosol video. I'll write that down. Sorry, if you guys come back, it'll be helpful for you if you have those timestamps. But yeah, so I do have a distiller, so I'm able to make hydrosols, but you can get them for about $15 for a good amount, which will last you probably a month or more, depending on how much you use it. But it's just like a spray mist that you can put on your face and let it air dry. So I really like elderflower for that purpose. Lavender is probably the most popular. You can have rose. You can have so many different options. You can have frankincense and myrrh. So I really do like those. And those are simple. As I said, they're 1 ingredient. And those are shelf stable, so you don't have to worry about preservatives or anything like that. Some other things are witch hazel is also really popular, but that's going to be really drying. It's really astringent. And so if you do already have dry skin, that would not be the best for you. And one of the things that I like to do also is I do like to make toners as well. And if you do, you just want to make sure you have a little bit of oil in there just so that you have that natural oil. So again, your skin doesn't go into overdrive trying to compensate for the oil loss that you have, but just so that your face isn't so dry. So again, in here, I wanted to share which recipes, if you do have it, which recipes I recommend for which. So I actually have 3 in here that I share. With the green tea facial wash, if you use that, then I have a green tea facial toner in here. And I also have one of beet juice. And this is actually my stepfather. He gave me the idea when I was making products. He said, why don't you do something with beets? And so I actually went on to I did use beets in a hair mist, the facial toner, and then I also used it in one of my scrubs for its beautiful color. But beet juice actually, a lot of the things that we have like cucumbers or beets, they all have different vitamins and minerals, which are just really good for the skin. And then beets do have anti-inflammatory properties as well. And beets are actually used for toning the skin. And so it's another ingredient. Again, you can use the things that you have in your kitchen. I'm trying to think of some other single toners. I also have one that I make of cucumbers. I would like to use cucumbers a lot when it comes to the skin or for the hair as well, because again, like I said, it has different B vitamins in it. And then if you think about it, for dark circles, a lot of times people would just put cucumbers on their eyes because it's cooling and helps to bring down the inflammation. And so cucumbers can do the same thing on the skin. So all of those are really good options. And then last, and you guys, make sure you chime in with questions. All right, so last with moisturizing, when it comes to moisturizing, you can use creams or you can use oils. And even those with oily skin can get away with more oily skin can get away with oils. And I rotate between things all the time. Actually, sorry, before I go off of that, I just remembered in Everyday Herbs, I do have some facial toners as well. And I shared, because there's just so many different ways to do it. And I'm just always finding new things and new combinations that I like or that work for me. Okay, and so the toners that I share, let me see. I do share quite a little bit of facial stuff in here. So I did share two toners in here. So I had shared one, how you make some with actual rose petals. And then I shared another one, how you can make it with willow bark. So roses are really good for redness of the skin. So a lot of times, just the color of certain things can let you know, what it might be useful for. So that's really when I would use it for sensitive skin, or if you have rashes or any kind of redness. I really do like roses. And then I like white willow bark because it has salicylic acid in it, which is an ingredient that you can find in, and I just remember something I want to talk about next. So let me write it down. Has salicylic acid, which is used a lot of times like a 2% concentration in skincare products for acne. So there's benzoic acid and salicylic acid are the ones that you find in products. And so aspirin is derived from different salicylic containing plants like willow bark. And so you can get a little bit of it by using it in a toner. Actually, that's what I'm using right now. It's I prefer to use like roses or lavender or things like that, but I'm using it now just simply because that's what I had and I ran out of my other ones. But I do like it. It works really well as well. So you have so many different options. Thank you, Jesus loving homesteader, for joining. I do a green tea hair rinse as well. Yeah, another thing about green tea is that it does have some caffeine in it, and so caffeine could be good for stopping excess shedding of the hair. So let's see. You say hydrolyzed toner. Can you share what that is? Oh, hydrosol, I think, is what you're referring to. Hydrosol. So a hydrosol is, a lot of people are familiar with essential oils. So I'll start there. When you're making essential oils, you take fresh herb parts and you basically distill it. So you put it over boiling water and the air kind of escapes through a tube and then it's cooled. And then so basically, like if you think about how evaporation, condensation works, it's cooled and that pure product becomes the hydrosol. And then there's also a little bit of essential oil that floats on the top, and you can take that off, and that's how they get essential oils. But when you're making essential oils, you get much more hydrosol than you do for essential oil. So it's wonderful that you get two different types of product from the plants. And the hydrosol is basically, it's called floral water or like flower waters, even though it's not necessarily, it's steam that's cooled, not necessarily water, because it is shelf stable. So it's a really good option. And I like to do that for plants that are already really wonderful, what are called vulnerary herbs, which are healing to the skin. So I really like to do it with yarrow, for instance. I also like to do mints. I like to do ones that smell really good too. So I like to do mints. I like to do lavender, which is really good for skin healing and stuff as well. So you can actually mix it up. So like I've done elder flowers, elder flowers are from the elderberry plant. The plant's called elder. And so the flower part of it, I like to use that too. It's really good for skin discoloration. So I like to mix that with yarrow, which is really good for wound healing. And so it makes a really good blend. Hope I know I talk a little fast. Let me know if that cleared it up for you. If not, I can repeat it. Thank you, Jesus loving homesteader. Thank you for the compliment. All right. So yeah. So back to moisturizing. So creams or oils. I do like oils, but oils, whenever you use oil, just oil on your skin, it can make your skin look more dewy. Some people equate that to looking youthful. So that it might be nicer for those who are older. It might just give you more like a glow look. And then you also can have creams, which I like it too. I feel like creams really make your pores disappear and make sure, kind of like makes your Oh, thank you. Yeah, it gives you the impression of, poreless skin, and it can give you more of a matte skin if that's what you like as well. And then it also serves as a base if you want to put, like if you want to do anything with your skin, makeup or something like that. It's just kind of like a smooth canvas. So that's the differences on those. Let's see. I do have creams as well. I have a cranberry cream. So I actually use cranberry extract. And that's one of the main things with creams. A lot of times they either kind of put something to make it lighter to make the creams white, or sometimes they might have color and they add all different types of dyes and whatnot. And just none of that is really wonderful for your skin. And so I like to use things that are naturally pigmented, like cranberries or like beets. And there's other herbs that you can use to do that as well. So I use cranberries to get a nice, pretty red cream. And then cranberries are really good for the skin as well. Most herbs you'll find are anti-inflammatory, but also antioxidant as well. And again, for like redness of the skin, it's really good. Hey, Lydia, thank you for joining. All right, so yeah, so that's about creams. And I like to use butters as well. I find that I like mango butter the best because mango butter is often feels lighter on the skin. And it's not as thick as like a shea butter. So if you have really dry skin, and especially on the body, I like to use, shea butter, or cocoa butter would be even more healing or sealing as well. All right, so I did want to talk about oils, and I didn't bring them here, but I'll just talk a little bit about oils quickly. Some of the oils that I really like to use are grapeseed oil. So if you are a person who's making products and you want to have like a certain color, grapeseed oil is it's a green color. So a lot of times you wouldn't really use that, but it's a really light oil, and it's not oily or greasy, and it absorbs pretty quickly into the skin, and it has a high amount of vitamin E. So I do like grapeseed oil. I find because I have more of an oily skin type that I like to use jojoba oil. And that's just because it's really close to our own naturals oil, our own natural skin's oil. And so it just helps with, again, not being greasy or anything like that. And it's very light, but it is more expensive. It is like a pretty goldish color. But jojoba is pretty much one of the more expensive oils on the market. You probably pay at least $1 per ounce. And I'm not sure if that's for the organic version. So it is more expensive as opposed to things like olive oil and things like that. A lot of people do use, oh, okay. I'll answer that question in a second. A lot of people also do use olive oil for the skin, but olive oil can actually be very heavy. So olive oil is one of the olive oil, coconut oil, and avocado oil are the oils that really penetrate into the skin. So they're used a lot of times in our products, but olive oil is a bit heavy. Avocado oil is going to be the thinnest of all those oils, and you can find it now in grocery stores, and it's not as expensive. So I do like avocado oil as well, and it has a pretty mild smell to it as well. And I actually prefer avocado oil for cooking as well. Do you have an opinion on tallow? I think that I have no problem. I wouldn't have a problem using tallow. It's like you can use it from beef, and I guess maybe from some other animals, but I do know that you do get beef tallow with the fat, and I have no problem with using it. Like basically the butters, those are fats too. So I have no problem with using it, but I don't have any actual history or experience using it, so I can't say further than that. But I know it's used a lot of times in soaps as well, just to make it more moisturizing. I have no problem with it. I also use like beeswax. You just remind me of that, beeswax. But just with wax, you just have to be careful that if you don't use too much, and if you do, you make sure that you really get it off, because it just can kind of it's a sealant, and so you do want to make sure you get all the residue off of waxes. But there's also vegetable waxes and all that, and I have no problem with any of our more natural ingredients. All right, did I get any questions? Let's see. I'll use food grade oil on my children, yet number 6 is allergic to olive oil. what I use for my kids is I just use coconut oil on them just for their, for their skin and hair. Actually, just, for the, when I'm putting just moisturizing or putting some oil in it on their skin, I always use coconut oil. But yeah, and my son is more sensitive, but he wasn't sensitive to the coconut oil, thankfully. But yeah, I mean, you'll be shocked at what you can get away with of, just using the bare minimum with things that you have in your kitchen. I have a product that I purchased that I would love to learn how to make. Can I talk to you about it? Yeah, sure. Which is it a brand of product or is it a type of product? But yeah, I can talk about it. All right, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is facial mask. And I really feel like this is a little bit, I mean, I didn't talk about how often about cleansing your face. So I remember when I was looking up and doing research, trying to create my own kind of routine, what I found is that you shouldn't wash your face more than twice a day. And if you do, like sometimes if I go in the garden and I'm sweating or something, then I'll just wash my face with no water. But you don't want to, overdo it or even, be touching. And especially if you have any kind of skin conditions going on, the less that you handle it or the less, or you want to bother it as little as possible. All natural oil and salmon oil. So I've never heard of soy oil, but it has soybean is a soybean oil and almond oil. What's your question about it? If you want to know what I think about it. So I really do like almond oil. Usually it's called sweet almond oil, or that's the type of almond that we get in our oils. And I do like it. It's really wonderful. I like it for hair, but it's a pretty light oil as well. It's a nice color to it. It's a light color oil. So it works well in a lot of products as well. Now, soybean oil is a soy cream. So soybean oil, as I said, I don't really buy products. It's kind of like wrapping my mind around how I haven't bought like anything really. The only product that I do buy is I buy a conditioner, like a rinsed out conditioner, but I think I'm going to stop doing that and just work on making my own. But that one is going to be a little bit more difficult because I really have to make sure, as we say, we have some slip in there. But I'm going to play around with some marshmallow or some flax and see if I can make one, but it's probably going to be very perishable. So that's why I haven't worked on that one yet. But pretty much I make everything else. But soybean, when I would buy products, soybean oil is like the cheapest oil you can get. And so I wouldn't usually use it in products. You'll find it in a lot of our food products have soybean oil. It's just really cheap. I don't know of any benefits that it would have other than it's just an oil. I would feel about it. I would think it's at the same level as like what's it called? Paraffin, like, like Vaseline. I think it's petroleum jelly. Like it's just the cheapest. It's not that it has any special benefits or anything like that of why it's used other than the price factor. Soy cream. What is a cream just for the face? Because I wonder with using soy as well. Soy has phytoestrogens, and it has a high amount of what's called phytoestrogens or plant-based estrogens. And I would think also putting it on your skin would actually be also increasing the amount of estrogen that the body may have, because we do absorb everything that we have. So I would say if you really wouldn't eat something, like if you buy products and you don't want to buy things with soybean oil, then I wouldn't put it on my hair either. That's just the way I think about it. Of course, it's not the same thing. It is in smaller concentration that gets picked up in the skin, but that's just the way I feel about it. But everybody has to determine, what their skin likes and what, how they want to go about it. All right. So facial mask. I'm at 29. So I really like facial masks. I try to do them. Well, I do them once a week at least, but probably about maybe, you said zinc. Oh, it's for the skin. A soy cream. Yeah. I don't really know about benefits that soy would give to the skin. Usually soy is just a cheap oil. But perhaps I'd be wrong. I've never heard of soy used in that way. If it was used maybe for estrogens, I would think that it might work in that case if you actually have a low amount of estrogen. It might possibly work, but other than that, I wouldn't know any benefits that it might have. Okay, so with facial masks, I like to do these once a week, and I feel like they are a deeper treatment. They really make your skin really smooth, and also it was common. I don't know about nowadays, but it was common to use masks on the hair as well because it would just pull up all the, especially if you're using products that are not natural, they cause buildup and stuff on the skin and the hair, and so when you use them, especially on the hair, it really just lifts. People see that their curls are enhanced, but it's just because they don't have products and stuff weighing it down. So it really beneficial on the skin as well. So the clays that I've used personally are bentonite clay, which is what I use more often, and then kaolin clay, which is more like a white clay. But I find that the one that I have, it's probably because it's not bleached, but it's more like a grayish color. But it is lighter. Where bentonite clay is a greenish clay. And the way I choose of what I want to, or when I want to use them, or what I want to use them for, is bentonite clay is a bit more drying, so it's used more for oily skin types. And then the kaolin clay is more for dry skin types and sensitive skin types. So if you did want to decide a certain clay, that might help you. And there's also Rasul clay that's really popular, but I've never used it. But I really feel like it makes your skin, it just really closes your pores and it really gets everything off of your skin. And even sometimes when you wash your face, I always pay attention when I blot off, use a white facial towel and blot off and see, did you get everything when you cleanse? A lot of times you don't get everything. And so the clay is just really, you have to really wash to get it off. And it really just takes everything off. The other thing about clays is that they are really cleansing, and they actually, some people take it internally as well for cleansing. But I've never done that, but I do know that it's used that way. But it also can help get rid of like heavy metal toxins. And so I would also, when my children were smaller, I've always tried to buy organic produce. But if it's not possible, then it might be good to do like a little bath in bentonite clay weekly. The tip that I always give is whenever you're mixing your clays, don't use a metal spoon because the clays bind to metal. And so it's not going to bind to the metals in your body if it already binds to the metal in the spoon or your utensil. So just make sure you don't do that because it basically nullifies that effect. So, but I'm trying to think. I have a clay right here, so I'm just going to get up and get it really quickly. Actually, I don't have it here, and so I'm not going to leave the room. But I did want to show it to you. But in my other video where I talked about my skincare routine, which I'll have to link to, I did show what bentonite clay looks like, I think, or kaolin clay, or both. So you'll have to check that one out. All right. Let's see what I got. My 5-year-old daughter said, "Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. Thank you, Lydia. Hello, Shalom. I suffer from menstrual migraine. I take a phytoestrogen blocker, so maybe it would be good on my skin. Yeah, potentially. I've never looked into that, but that would just be in theory why it might be used. But yeah, if it does, that's good. That'll be good, but I don't know for sure. Thank you. Oh, well, thank you guys are too kind. You use a Rasul and bentonite clay. How do you like it? Rasul clay, I think is red. Is like a red clay. Is it? Because I've never used it, but let me know, Nefertari, if so. All right, so yeah, so I think that's all I want to say about the facial mask. I'm working on lots of recipes for herbal holistic healing, which I do have here. I always make sure I have all of the books here. And so one of the ones that I'm going to be working on is one with roses. So I'm going to be powdering up some roses and making a nice facial mask for the skin. I have a recipe in here. Let's see. In Recipes from the Earth. Don't even remember the name. But yes, it is my turmeric facial toning mask. And so that one I actually use milk powder. And you can use coconut milk powder if you're a vegan. And you can use goat's milk if that's what you have too. And I use turmeric in it. And I use a little bit of like cinnamon and spices. And then I just use essential oils. And it just makes a really nice mask. Turmeric is known for even in our hyperpigmentation. So it's a really good product. There's lots of other herbs that are also used in that same way. Like I talked about, elderflower is really known for that as well. Honeysuckle flower, I think that's used a lot more in Asia for toning the skin as well. But those are just some of the ones that I can come up with at the top of my head. All right, so facial steam. So I talked about this before, and I have a self-care video. So hopefully you guys can't hear the background noise. But in the self-care video, I love to do facial steams. Usually I do a facial steam and then I'll do a mask after. Or some days I'll just do like a quick mask and then just wash it off really quickly. I never knew that was the reason. Turmeric doesn't stain the face, but it can stain like if you get it on your countertops or whatever. So I'm just always very careful, and you will have to really rinse out your sink as well. Turmeric can stain clothing and things like that from the pigments. Anything that has like a really, that's really pigmented, you have to be careful with. I never knew that was the reason not to use metals when using clay. So, yeah, no problem. So whenever you do it, I usually just use like one of those plastic disposable spoons. Like if you go to get food from anywhere, they'll usually give you some of those utensils and you can keep them, or you can buy some usually for parties or so, and you can use that for the skin. I wouldn't use wood. I usually don't use wood with anything that is highly pigmented because I did stain one of my wooden spoons before. So I would just use plastic probably, or you can use like sometimes I use like the little baby spoons that you get, maybe like silicone, and use those little spoons as well, the ones that are for children. All right, so facial steams. I really like facial steams. I like to do them, like I said before, I do a facial mask. They're really good to open up the pores. It's basically like a mini sauna. And I feel like it really feels like self-care, not just for your skin, to really get all the gunk and everything out. And it also, the steam will pull things out. So one of the things I should have mentioned, but I'll mention it now. If you do have acne-prone skin, you do not want to pop pimples. But the steam can actually help to, bring it up to the surface. And then after a couple of days, it can help to dry it out. Oh, and I didn't mention, I do have links down below for if you do, because this book has 40 plus recipes of different things I'm talking about. So you can basically change up all your skincare and, all your skin and hygiene. All of that is in here. And some recipes, so that's Recipes from the Earth. And this one actually is only $12.99 if you get it on Amazon. And then Everyday Herbs does have a few recipes, like some facial scrubs. I have some actual scrubs that I made, and I didn't talk about scrubs yet. Do I have it down here? Yeah, I do have it next. And we'll talk about scrubs, and then I'll talk about the recipe that I was talking about. But yeah, I do have everything that I'm talking about. I did try to go ahead of time and write it in the description. All right, so with facial steams, you can use pretty much anything that either you can have it for smells, so things that kind of just open up the nasal passages. So things that you would use in the diffuser, like a eucalyptus or, so I have, let's see, where are you? I just used you. And I actually changed up my setup. If you guys notice, I usually had baskets here, but I moved the baskets and I wanted to put more herbs here just to get closer to it. I got to turn off my phone notifications. Sorry. All right. So I have here, where is it? I must have just been using it. I might have it on the table. But I was looking for my eucalyptus leaf. I like that to use. I also use and have some new recipes coming out in this book that I'm working on. I have cedar tips that you can use, rosemary you can use thyme, fresh mint from the garden is really good. Ooh, it smells really good, especially like a peppermint. You can use anything that just really smells wonderful, like some fresh chamomile, some roses. And I do have in everyday herbs, I have 2 facial steam recipes, and I'll show you real quick. All right, so I have one here. It's called Floral Fusion. It's next to my scrubs, next to my oatmeal scrubs. And then I have one with fresh flowers. And actually, I'm going to be doing that today because I have some roses that are really doing good in the front of my house. So I'm going to be doing that one. But you can use it with fresh flowers as well. So you can, I mean, just looking at it, it's beautiful. It smells really good. It's really relaxing. So it opens up your pores. And I really feel like it, it just gets down really deep and gets all of the gunk and everything out. And even emotionally, like if you're in a bad mood, or like if I really need to relax, if I feel like, oh, I'm stressed today, it's something that I really do, and I feel like it really gives stress relief. So again, you can also use like some of your hydrosols, your flower waters, and there's just endless options. And if you haven't done it, you should really try it. I don't have actually I have my bowl right here, so let me show you my bowl and just kind of walk you through it, how you would do it. All right, so this is a bowl that I use, and I can't tell you where I got it from because I got it from Goodwill. And let's see, what's it say on the bottom? It's a Pyrex bowl. It's a 4-liter Pyrex bowl. So maybe I should look and see if I can find it on Amazon. But I like this because you have lots of space, to put your face into the bowl. And I usually fill it up actually to about like here or like here. You don't want to do it too much. And you just really don't want a bowl that's going to be too small so that it might topple over, like if you actually touch it. So that's why I really like a big bowl like this. And I go ahead and I get whatever herbs I'm doing. So if I'm taking fresh herbs or if I'm drying herbs specifically, and I just use all my herbs here. But sometimes I'll have, when I dry my herbs, I'll leave it with a long stem and throw them in here. Or else I would just use a tea bag and put all my dry herbs in there. I really want to know where my eucalyptus is. It might be over there. I really wonder where I have it. But things like mints are really good as well. Let's see. Like a Tulsi basil. Oh, here it is. Oh, so I have like these eucalyptus leaves here. And then like the cedar tips are actually very nice and big. And so you can put them in there, but it just might be harder to clean. So I like to put them in tea bags. And then you just pour the boiling water over it, and you do it about maybe the most would be 3/4 full, and maybe a little bit less than that. And do it about 10 minutes. You take a towel, and you put your head over the bowl, and you cover it. Make sure no air escapes. So I really make sure around the back of my neck or around my ears that the steam isn't escaping. And if you haven't tried it, definitely try it. And especially if you have like problem skin, it's really really wonderful and can really, turn around your skin. Let's see. One of the things that vexes me is that it says advised not to use tap water with a steamer because of the gunk buildup. But then they tell you your tap water is safe to drink. Yeah, really true. So yeah, it's really good if you can get one of those. Why can't I think of the name? It's not a strainer. Can I think of the name? So I'm just gonna move on. Somebody on the chat will tell me, or I'll think of it. Filter, yeah. Put on a filter to filter your water, or you can use bottled water. And gallon of waters, I haven't bought any recently, but if you can get it in the store, it's usually about $1 or less. Usually they have ones that's for children that are for less than $1, and so you can use that just for it. But yeah. But I think it's also all of the minerals and stuff that are added into the water as well. All right, so now let's talk about questions. I'm getting closer to the end, so let me know if you have any questions. All right. So the last part is exfoliating. So exfoliating isn't for everybody. It's if you have any acne on the skin, you should wait until afterwards because you don't want to irritate. And exfoliating, you gently taking off dead skin cells, but if you have acne, you can actually take off like, the top layer. So it can actually end up popping pimples and all of that. So you really don't want to use it on broken skin, and you don't want to use it when you have acne. And you only want to do it about once to twice a week. You don't want to overdo it. And again, it's taking off dead skin cells, but you want to give your skin some time to rejuvenate. So some of the things that I like to do for scrubs, actually, scrubs are one of the first ways that I started making my own products. Scrubs are one of the first things. I shared 5 different recipes in here. And actually, there were some that didn't make the book. And then I shared scrub recipes in Everyday Herbs as well. And I'm sharing a new one in my book. So I really do like scrubs. So, and I've done videos, so I have to write that. I have to mention that. I did one on facial scrubs on how you can make some. And I showed how to make it with oatmeal. So for those who have sensitive skin or those who have, problem skin, oats are used a lot of times in baths to really soothe the skin when you have rashes and itchy skin, like redness or irritation. Scrub. So those are a really good option. I shared those recipes in Everyday Herbs. And I have this book here. Where did I put? Okay. I got too many things next to me. So I shared, is it 2 or 3? I think I shared 2 recipes on, and I just actually showed it when I was showing the facial steams. But anyway, so I won't show the page again. But yes, so I have one that's called Sweet Vanilla Oat Scrub. And so in them, I use oats and you use sugar. Well, let me pause there. So when you're making scrubs, I use brown sugar when it comes to the face. I use, you can use white sugar or sea salt for the body. You can use Himalayan sea salt, which is the red sea salt, or you can use the regular white sea salt as well. But so here's the thing. So when it comes to sea salt, that's going to give you the most exfoliation. The granules are bigger, so it's going to be rougher. So I like to use that if I'm doing like a pedicure or so. But you don't necessarily need to use that. That one I would use maybe once a week. But it's really like the elbows, the rough parts of your skin, and you can really feel it buffering away. So it is really good. I like to use sugar for the body. So let's see. Let's talk about, and then brown sugar is the only thing that I would recommend personally for the face. I know some people make scrubs with sugar for the face. I wouldn't personally do that, especially for those with sensitive skin. You just want to stick with the brown sugar. And if you want to test out what I'm saying, get a bowl of sugar, a bowl of brown sugar, and a bowl of sea salt, and feel all of them, and you'll feel the difference of how it feels in your skin. And then you would know, our face is the most sensitive skin. It's thinner, so you really do want to take care. So go ahead and use brown sugar. It costs a little bit more, but that's what I would use on the skin. And you always want to have some oil in it. And the oil, again, is for the natural oils because you are stripping the skin, but you do want to have some natural oils. And so that's basically what you would do. As long as you have just sugar, salt, brown sugar, and oil, that's pretty much all you need. But then I like to jazz it up and put other essential oils or different things in it as well. Great. So when I was talking about the ones in Everyday Herbs, okay. So I had sweet vanilla. And so it had frankincense in it and vanilla essential oil for healing purposes, but also for smell as well. Vanilla is an aphrodisiac. That's one of the popular scents when it comes to candles or when it comes to using on your skin as well. And then I have one with oats. It's called oat milk and honey. So use honey. Again, I talked about how honey can help bring moisture into the skin. But honey is also used on acne because it's antimicrobial. And then it also is used to lighten hyperpigmentation too. So those are some of the things that you can use and scrub. So hello, just getting here. Thank you, Rachel Survival League 3. I think it's my first time seeing you. Thank you for joining. Did you go over hyperpigmentation and scarring the skin, specifically on the chin? Yeah, I did talk about. I didn't talk about a certain area of the face, but I did talk about it. So I did just talk about honey, which is also used. I like turmeric a lot for the skin, but you just have to be careful that you don't spill it because it can cause stain on other things. What else did I talk about? I did talk about things like elderflower, which are used. Even things like cinnamon are also used on the skin. So there's fads with things, and so cinnamon was kind of popular for using for the skin as well. But you'd be surprised. There's a lot of different things that can help. Roses are used a lot of times for redness and irritation. I'm trying to think if I said anything else specifically. Is it Japanese honeysuckle flower? I think it's called. That's used, I think, as well. But there's tons of different things you can use. Even lavender is used as well on the skin. But I would definitely, if that's a problem, the number one thing that I always did was just to make sure, one, that you don't have any, because you don't want to be trying to repair your skin and have anything occur. So you really want to make sure if you do have acne, what's causing it or whatever, or if you have eczema or whatever, you want to address what is causing it first. But then facial masks can be really wonderful, and then having some of those ingredients in it can be helpful. Some of the other, so I really like scrubs that I talk about, and I like using, my book just closed, for the body. So I had some other ones like the pink grapefruit that I talked about that has beets in it. Using scrubs with rose petals is really nice, and you're using fresh rose petals. Some with coffee. Coffee was another one that was popular for people using in scrubs. And so it's an endless list of different things that you can use to make scrubs. But like I said, all you need is those 2 ingredients, and then everything else is just, bonus. And you don't even have to use, let me correct that. You don't even have to use the salt, sugar, or brown sugar. You can use, like I did, use oats, and you can use different grains as well in some of them. For my body scrub, I use coffee. Yeah, that's what coffee is used for. The caffeine, and just for the toning. So coffee is used like that, and cinnamon is used for like that as well. I do want to point out, if you do use cinnamon, you do just need to be careful with the amount that you use. All right, so some of the general tips I wanted to give for skin, and I didn't talk about essential oils, really. I talked about lavender. Lavender essential oil is used for the skin. It's used for pretty much anything and everything. Lavender is really used for. It's even used for like burns of the skin. So it's used for skin healing. Other essential oils that I like, tea tree oil, you can find that, in Walmart. Tea tree oil is pretty common to find on the shelves if they have a section with essential oils. A tea tree is used for its antibacterial properties, so it's used for acne. It's really common. As I was talking about earlier, in skincare products that you find in the stores, they tend to have benzoic acid or salicylic acid. And I talked about the natural salicylates that you can find, salicylates that you can find in plants. But one of the things that while I was making products, I found that white thyme oil is actually the top of the line when it comes to using on the skin for acne. It was found to be even more beneficial than using the benzoic acid on the skin. So white thyme, you can find that as an essential oil. And I'll have to write that down so I can put that in the description. And so I like to use that in combination with like tea tree oil, and also rosemary oil is another one that's used for acne as well. And also myrrh. I really like to use that as well. All right. I'm trying to think of some other essential oils that I like to use. Chamomile, things like chamomile and rose, those are used not just for the smell, but they also are good for the healing of the skin. Actually, chamomile has something called azulene in it that really gives it like an anti-inflammatory property. And so it's used for the skin as well. And it is really powerful, but you can also buy just straight azulene as well. It's a blue oil, and that's used on the skin for its anti-inflammatory property. All right, so I think that's all I want to say about the essential oils. Okay, so the general herbs that I wanted to, or general tips for skin I wanted to talk about is, it's said so many times, but drinking water. I do find if I'm not drinking enough water, I can see differences in my skin. So trying to drink, they usually say 8 glasses a day or 8 cups a day, but it's really, you would take your weight, divide it in 2, and try to get that amount of ounces per day. So you'll find that usually it's 8 is pretty much usually a minimum, but depending on your weight, it might not be. So that's something to think about. So yeah, water keeps you hydrated, and it helps to flush out toxins and waste from the body. And then of course, eating properly too. Um, a lot of times, if you pay attention to how your skin reacts when you eat certain things, you may have an allergy. Eczema usually is caused by an allergy either of gluten or like milk. And so cutting certain things out of your diet, sugars can be a big cause of different problems on the skin. Actually, I have Dr. Laila Africa's book, or when you find books of, you can also find some in like Chinese medicine, but different. It's called face mapping. So if you have a problem on your skin in a certain part of your body, it can be an indicator of a issue in some parts of your body. So let me get the book really quickly. All right. So this is the cover of the book. It's Holistic Self-Diagnosis. Actually, you don't have to get this big one. This book is basically a bunch of different charts, and you can go from all different parts of your body. So I'll make sure I'll link it down below. Let me read that. Okay. Yeah, so it maps all different parts of your body. So let me just go to the index really quickly. And I'll tell you the certain parts of the body that you can do tests on. So there's over 100 tests in here, or 100 of these diagrams that you can do of the mapping. But as he states, the intention is not to overwhelm yourself with it, but it's just to choose a diagnostic technique, and then you just master that, and you can use that for different parts of the body. So I like to use face as an indicator, because you can always see someone's face while other parts of the body may be covered up or whatever. All right, so let's see. So he has sections on nose, lips, the face, eyes, hair, cheeks, teeth, tongue, fingers and fingernails, feet, the palms of the hand. Let's see. He also has acupuncture points as well in here, and some other things. So abdomen I see in here. So there's all different types of things that you can find in here if that interests you. I wanted to see the face. Let's see, it's page 76. Let's see what 76 has. No, that's not what I was looking for. But they're all put into certain sections. I'll have to find it. This book is not there we go. It's not the easiest to find what you're looking for. But here, for example, here's an example of one of the charts he has in here. And so depending on what part of the chin you're talking about, you may have an issue that's just basically showing itself as hyperpigmentation, or which is basically like a I hate to say like disorder, but it is like a disorder of the skin. Let's see. So it depends on where on the chin, but it could be a reproductive issue. Let's see. Usually it may be, I don't know if it's the lower chin or not, but usually on these diagnostic on the face, I think he has a certain section of the chin, but usually they are not talking about your lower chin. If you can see where it stops about here. Hopefully I'm not going too fast. And you guys, I'm going to go soon because I'm almost finished. So put your last questions in there if you have them. All right, I'll try to find a chin picture if he has one. And maybe that might help you out if you're still here. Let's see. I also like to use green tea also for a lot of things can really be wonderful for toning the skin. And even green tea can be helpful. And that's something that a lot of people have. Face, does he have one chin? I don't see anything just when I'm looking quickly. So I'm just going to continue on that one. But hopefully that was helpful for you. All right, so yeah, so I talked about water and how it's important, and also food, and then also exercise. Exercise is really important too. Just really getting your body moving. It just really helps to get everything, get the blood circulating, get the lymph circulating, making sure that you're eating properly, making sure you're eliminating everything, and so it's not showing up on the skin. And then also, one thing is less is more when it comes to applying products or different things like that. You can always add more later if you need to, but it's harder to take away. So especially with things like putting oil on the face, or like I said, creams or stuff, you can use, a lot of times you can use a lot less. And be very gentle with your skin as well, because it is thinner skin, and it is, often, even if you are not termed with sensitive skin, it is more sensitive. And so that's why usually you have face cream and a body cream. Like we usually have something different for our face. And so, just try to be a little bit more gentle and try not to try to overly strip your skin. And I definitely say if you are having issues with your skin, definitely try to make your own products. That's the way that you can make sure you tailor it to what your particular needs are. Like when you're looking at the products on the market, it's always like a one size fits all, and it's supposed to help everybody. Every one skin type is supposed to use the same cream. Like it doesn't make sense. And, you really could make things simply and easily. And again, you're not putting these different chemicals on your skin that can actually just mess up what's going on inside of your body and make problems worse. All right. Oh, especially the skin around your eyes. Just be really careful. Try to use the less amount of pressure is supposed to be with these pointer fingers. And so that's what I like to use if I'm doing anything around the eyes. And, just it might be helpful also not to be dragging your face down or whatever. Because if you think about just gravity, it's just be delicate. I like to pat the skin and not really be rough with it. That can help. And also I just say smile often, because they say it takes, what is it, that it takes more bones in your it takes more work, they say, for a frown versus a smile. But then also if you think about it, it's gravity. It's also pulling your skin up. So I just think that that's wonderful too. And then also the stress factor. Stress can really be detrimental to your skin health as well. All right, so I don't see anything. So the last thing I want to talk about is, if you aren't, get on my mailing list. Specifically, I have what's called my From Scratch Motherhood course coming up. And I do it one time a year. And it's a section. It's not really a course. It's actually live classes that I do. And it's small groups. So I do it with other moms. We get together. I'll probably do them on Sunday nights, probably around this time, 7 o'clock. We get together and we make different products. And so this year I'm going to do it. This will be my second year. The first time I actually had 16 classes. And I felt like that was a little bit much for me to commit to. So I think I might do 8 this year. But the new thing that I'm going to do is everybody who signs up will get a copy of the book. So I had downloadable recipes that you can download, but I'm going to give a book this time. So I only have, of course, because there's only, one of me, and we have one screen, and we'll have different people coming up every week to make stuff together. And that's the important thing, is sometimes if you try to make a recipe, you want to know, is this supposed to look like this, or is this coming out right? And so with doing it live like this and interacting, where I can see your screen and I can tell you, oh, you should add a little bit more. Because sometimes when you're making natural products, it may be different. Like if the recipe says coconut milk, well, what brand is it? And it may come out different, you know. And so there's all different types of factors. And even if you're saying, okay, I'm allergic to it, what can I use instead? So it's just a way for people who want to start making their own products and get used to it. It's a way to keep you accountable and also help you. So I usually only keep about 10 spots. I'm not sure if I'm going to do 10 or less, but I do have a link down below if you want to sign up for the mailing list. I don't know when I'm going to come out with it. I'm still thinking about it if I want to do it like September, like around when school starts for most people, or if I want to do it January. So do get on that list. And all the books that I talked about are down below as well. Oh, you said good night. I'll finish in the play life. Okay, well, thank you for joining. But yeah, I'll let you all go. That's all I wanted to talk about. And leave a comment and let me know if you thought that this video was helpful. And I'll be back next week. I think we're going to be talking about boosting the immunity. So I look forward to seeing all of you all. And actually, once you just stay in here, it should push you already to the next live, and you can set the reminder and hit the like. All right, but I'll let you guys go. Thank you for joining, everybody, and I'll see you next week.